1,000 views. Ever since my first video, you guys have supported my channel. Although I had few views and subs, it was still good enough for me. Recently, my channel and this one video have reached 1,000 views. As a prize, I have collected all my videos and put them in a playlist. Enjoy!
My ideal Thomas is a flat earther. Also, he is so stupid, he believes he is 3 years old. Since he is 3, he shat himself, so let's give him the paint. Now, since I'm a Wilbert Audrey hater, let's give him an anti-railway series sign. We are done. This is peak Thomas the Tank Engine, and any other version is wrong.
The two Henry theory. This is a really popular Thomas theory, and most people know it. But if you didn't know, this is the theory. First, let's talk about Henry. Henry's backstory is that he was built from stolen design from Sir Nigel Gresley, but the plans were for a failed engine, so Henry had many problems. He looked like a mix between the GN or AE1 and C1 and thus used many parts from both. His major problem was his firebox, which was too small, which gave him steaming troubles. Sir Topham Hatt tried his best to fix Henry, but it was no good. Eventually he found a solution, and that was to give Henry Welch coal. It was a success until one snowy night in 1935, when Henry was pulling the flying kick. The signal jammed and he was sent on his wrong line into another train. Henry was severely damaged, and was sent to Crew Works for a rebuild. He came back as a Stanier Black 5 rather than an experimental Gresley design. That's how the original story goes, and this is where the theory starts. The theory is that instead of the works rebuilding Henry, he left him behind. Got an engine to replace Henry, gave the engine Henry's livery and number. This has been debated and debated over and over again in the Thomas the Tank Engine community. Now let's get into why people believe this theory. There are a number of reasons why people believe this theory, so I will list them all. The main reason why people believe this theory is because in the Island of Sodor book, Henry has two parts to him. Henry I and Henry II. And yeah, this does seem a little bit odd. If Audrey intended for these two to be the same character, why would he split their parts in the book? Another reason people believe in this theory is that the rebuild seems too radical and would be effective to buy a new engine. Now, here is why some people think this theory is false. In the book Gordon's Big Engine, when Henry is going to choose the express Gordon says this: "Better be careful, Henry. You're not pulling the flying kipper now, you know. Mind you keep to the rails today, won't you?" Then Henry calls Gordon fat face. Henry insulted Gordon back because the accident is not something to joke about to Henry. It clearly shows that Henry is offended, and if he was a replacement he wouldn't get offended. In the book The 8 Famous Engines, when Henry shoos away Percy's friends from the other railway, Percy puffs away saying, "Once an engine attached to a train, afraid of a few drops of rain." Henry's reaction was anger. These events that were mentioned were before his rebuild, so how could Henry have remembered these incidents if he was a replacement? Another argument is that the rebuild could not have happened since it was impossible. But rebuilds like this have happened in real life before. In 1930, 12 of the LNW or Clawtons were rebuilt into LMS Patriots. Now, here is what I think. I think that, when Henry was at Crewe, they only replaced parts of Henry, which meant he was still on the same chassis, which meant he was still Henry. But by the time the rebuild was done, very little was left of the original design. So, here is the conclusion. I personally don't believe in the theory, but people do have their own opinions. Feel free to write down in the comments what you think. This video is also inspired by Tail Lamp Productions and Skorksane, so I will link their videos and channel in the description.
Timothy movie but explained poorly. This is Tim. Tim is a train and he was built and works in this place called LBSC. LBSC sells Tim to this other place called Sodier. Tim works in this place called Kirk Ronan in Sodier. Now this is Old Controller. Before Tim came, Old Controller controlled Kirk Ronan. When Tim came, Old Controller lost money. Old Controller hates Tim and he owns the railway when Tim leaves. When Tim comes back he loses money. One day Tim will get scrapped. Tim is angry, and when Tim takes his last train he goes off a bridge. Now Tim is a ghost. Tim haunts the railway looking for his brother Tom. Tom is Tim's sibling who works on Sodier. Tim scares Tom's friend and chases these two who are Tom's friends called Per and Tob. But then Tom comes and Tim and Tom are going to be in a head-on collision, and when Tim comes really close Tom's driver blows up the bridge and Tim falls and disappears.